How you get your toppets or lifters lifted up with these wooden dowel rods that people talk about using. I had a hard time understanding it, so I'm going to show you. What it is this push rod, the bottom of it sits inside the toppet or lifter, and what it looks like, what it sits down is the top of the lifter is shaped like that. It's cup shaped and it's round. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut these 14-inch dowel rods, and then you're going to take and cut a slot into the end. Let's see if I can find it here. You're going to cut a slot about a 1/2 inch in to the end of the rod. You can barely see it right there. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take the end of the rod and you're going to try to sand the edges, and you're going to hold it flat to some concrete, and then do this, and you're going to twist it as you do that. Okay, so what you're trying to do is get the tip of the wooden dowel rod rounded and kind of cut the edges off, because you want it to be approximately the inside dimension of the lifter or the tappet. Okay, but you don't want it to be the exact size. You want it to be a little bit bigger around, and the reason why is so that when you shove this dowel rod into the lifter, which looks just like this does right here, the slot that you cut a 1/2 inch slot into this, it allows that slot to squeeze, and it allows this to push into there. And so you put that into the engine and you shove it in there into the tappet, and you tap the top with a hammer just very ever so gently into the tappet, and I'm going to show you that. Okay, so this is top side of the engine here. So once you get your rocker arms taken off, okay, and you grab your push rod right here and you lift it out, okay, then you can see a little tiny hole down in there. It's kind of hard to see, it's right there. Okay, so this rod, you're going to put it down in there, and you're going to be able to feel where that thing sits down in that hole. And you just kind of move it around, and there it is. And you can feel when it sits down in the hole, because when you twist it, you can feel a little bit of resistance, okay? And then you can push it with your fingers just a little bit, or your palm of your hand, just push it down a little bit, and then take your hammer and just give it a ever so gentle tap, okay? And then you can feel that it's set correctly, because when you pull up, you can pull that tappet up and down off that cam, and you can hear it. Okay, so you lift that up, and then you push it over, and you do the same on this one right here, and then you squeeze the two together and put a rubber band around it like that one is right there. Okay, and that's what holds the tappets off of the top of the cam. Then once you have your timing cover off, you can pull your cam out the front, but you got to take off the two keepers that hold the cam in. But in order to do this, you got to pull the whole front of the truck apart, and you have to lift the engine up in order to get the cam past this frame support right here, because the cam is approximately right here, and the cam gear will not pass this. So you undo your motor mounts and a few other things that are going to stop it, like the turbo, the exhaust, and also when you get to the back of the engine and you're doing your toppets, in order to get these rods in, they have to be cut smaller in order to fit. And there's these little plugs that are on top of here that you have to take your push rods up, out, and through, and then your dowel rods down in. And those ones have to be cut a little bit smaller, the the dowel rods, just to get them in. So you got to take apart the windshield assembly, and inside here is another plug. So that's how it's done. And then when you put this back together, once you get your cam in, you just pull these out and put your rocker arm back on, and the bolts tighten to 27 foot-pounds. Forgot to get that rod in there. You stick it in there and you can kind of feel it where it goes by twisting it, and these things kind of vacuum suck into place into that cup. Because again, what the top of the toppets look like, where the push rod makes that connection, is just like that right there. So the way that you know that your push rod is in place is you can kind of twist it and feel it, and when you lift up slightly you can feel it vacuum sucking to that right there. So that's, just to give you one more picture of what this looks like inside the engine with the toppet, where that dowel rod goes down in there. And remember, that groove that's cut right there allows the rod to squish together enough so that it can lift up that tappet. Hope this is helpful, guys.